Hi, my name is James. I'm going to show you how to install a gas stove. We're going to be removing an electric stove and installing the gas stove up to the gas line. Also, if you want to see how to install a gas pipeline, I have another video. It's called How to Install a Gas Pipeline to a Stove, James. Okay, here's the gas stove I'm going to be installing. The electric stove, I'm pulling it out. I'm trying to save money on the electric bill. And I got the burners over here in the back still. Okay, here's the parts I'm going to be using. This is a corrugated gas line right here. It's got 1/2-inch flare fitting on this side. It's got 1/2-inch flare fitting on this side. It's got an adapter on this side. It'll go from the 1/2-inch flare onto a male flare onto a 1/2-inch pipe thread. And the pipe thread's going to go into the regulator. This came with the gas stove. It's going to regulate pressure going into the stove. And now on the outlet, on this side right here, is going to go up onto the stove. So on the outlet right there is a 3/8 pipe, and then I've got a 3/8 pipe female. The reason for this is I just wanted a better angle coming off the stove. Okay, here's the tools and the parts we'll be using. A drop light, a voltmeter, a drill if we need to mount it, drills, adjustable wrenches, screwdrivers, and pipe thread compound, and also a squirt bottle so that I can leak test it. One thing I do want to mention is the pipe thread compounds used on threads, but this one here, some people mistake plumber's putty as the pipe thread compound, but this one here is really thin. And it's not too thick, it's not too hard, it goes on the threads real easily. This one here in the plumber's putty is sort of used at the base of units. You'd put it around a sink, say, and tighten a sink down. But anyways, don't use plumber's putty on the threads. And also, you don't need pipe thread compound on the flare fitting. Only use pipe thread compound on the pipe threads. Like on this one on the 1/2-inch, then also on the 3/8 pipes, there will be pipe thread compound used. Okay, our electric stove has got 240 volts coming into it, a 30-amp breaker, and so I want to disconnect that. So the thing I'm going to do is turn it off at the breaker, and then I'm going to disconnect it right here at the junction box. Okay, I came out to the breaker box outside here, and this breaker right here is for the stove, so I'm going to turn this off. Okay, power's off at the breaker box coming to the stove, but now I want to check in the junction box, and you always want to verify and make sure the power's off. So I'm going to open this up and measure the voltage. Okay, this side right here is the ground. That one I'm not going to worry about. I got 240 on these two right here. It's off. I measure it. I got the voltmeter on the volt scale AC, and it's measuring 0, so voltage is off and we're safe. Alright, I'm going to pull off all 3 lugs on here. They're just screw-on caps. And so I got that one off, screw that one off, and that one. Okay, these power cables right here go up to the stove. I'm going to pull those out. I got the conduit bolt here in the back. I already loosened it. So I pull that, bring this out with the stove. These ones here, I'm going to cap these off. I don't need these on the new stove. And so I have the used lugs, and I just put them back on here on the wires, and it didn't fit in the wires, so I just folded it in half and just screwed them on there really good. Okay, I just put the cover back on this here too. Okay, if this electric stove's coming out now, it's probably a horseshoe under there. Okay, I'm going to put pipe thread compound on the fittings now, and on the regulator and on the stove. So just wrap it around the threads. I already started doing this a little bit, but just make sure it goes inside there. You don't want to put too little, but also you don't want to put so much where it's going to gunk up and get in the regulator, or it'll get in the lines or the stove. And make sure it goes all the way into the threads too. And that's why it's nice having the brush on here, because it makes sure it goes in there and seats it really well. And I do it on both sides, on the male and the female side. And don't put it on the compression side. Okay, I'm going to start assembling the parts. I'll put the 1/2-inch into the 1/2-inch side of the regulator, and the 3/8 into the 3/8 side of the regulator. This one's going to go up to the stove. Okay, I'm going to put pipe thread compound onto the 3/8 male coming out of the stove. And you can see on this right here how it flows really good. You tighten it and then you see the pipe thread compound's actually flowing. That means it's seated really good. Gas is not going to escape through that. And so this here, after I get it installed, I actually want this pointed out this way. My dog wants to help too. She's going to be a plumber. And so I'm going to tighten it and then end results there, but I'm going to have it stop hopefully right here, over here, and then install it and then we'll turn it. Thank you, Jupiter. You're a lot of help. Okay, now I'm going to put the stove in the cutout hole, put the power line inside there, and set the stove down. Okay, I've got mounting brackets right here. I'm not going to use these, and use these if you need to, if the stove is not secure. And if you did, it just mounts in the side here, and then you drill it in. But it sort of prevents it from moving up and wiggling around too much, but I don't really need them. So now I'm going to adjust on the regulator. Okay, now I'm going to bolt on the flexible corrugated gas line. So I'll just finger tight this and then attach it onto the stove. Okay, now I'm going to connect it on this side. I'll just finger tighten this one too. Okay. And also, as I mentioned before, these are compression fittings. It's 1/2-inch flare, and so these ones don't need pipe thread compound. Okay, tighten these up pretty good. Okay, tighten up this side now. Okay, the corrugated flexible gas line is flexible. Don't be afraid of moving this around. See, I've got it routed back here, and so route it into the best position where it's not going to be hit by stuff. I got storage under our stove, so I don't want pots and pans hitting this. So I got it routed pretty good back here, and I'll put it down in back of our drinking water tank right here. Okay, I'm going to do leak testing of the gas lines now. So I got a squirt bottle here. It says isopropyl, but it's just water inside here. I put water, and I'm going to put a few squirts of soap inside of there. And basically I spray it on the joints, and if there's a leak, it's going to start bubbling. Gas lines are usually about 5 psi, which is not very high pressure, but if there is a leak, then you'll start seeing bubbles come off of it. And sometimes this will bubble a little bit, but if there's a real leak, you'll just see it bubbling. It's like a bubble machine coming off of it. Okay, I want to turn gas on right here, but before turning gas on, you want to make sure all your stove valves are turned off on your stove. I already verified all 4 of them are turned off. I'm going to turn the gas line on, and I'm going to start spraying on this flare fitting right here. In fact, it wouldn't hurt if I spray the one in back too, because I kind of moved that a little bit because there was activity there. It could have moved a little bit, but see, I don't see any bubbles, so that one's good. Okay, I'll check on the flare fitting right here, also on the pipe thread. So I don't see any bubbles. I'll come off of this side right here on the 3/8 pipe, and then on the 3/8 pipe right here. Okay, I really flooded it, but that looks really good. Okay, I got all the gas lines hooked up. There is a 120 plug on this, and it's a gas stove. The purpose of the 120 plug is for the igniter. So I'm going to plug that in, and then we're going to test our stove. Okay, everything's hooked up. We're going to try the stove. Put it on light. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. And that one's good. Okay, that there's a stove installation. Gas stoves are a lot more efficient than electricity. Heating things electrically is just not very efficient and costs a lot of money for us, so that's why we transferred. Thanks for watching.